morning. It's Wednesday, June 28th, and I read an article about the Senate probe on the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. And let me say that this is the perfect example of a what-if scenario. What if this happens or it doesn't happen? And this probe has come out claiming that those two organizations, the FBI and the DHS, have downplayed the warnings of violence on January 6th. Now that's a pretty damning condemnation of two of our well-established law enforcement agencies. And I took this with kind of a grain of salt, so to speak, because I believe that these people on the FBI and the DHS are humans and they think and do things that humans might do, So they were getting warning for several days, maybe even weeks prior to the events of January 6th, where the Proud Boys and the Oath Takers were on social media telling their constituents and their believers and their followers to show up at the Capitol because they were going to do big things at the Capitol. Now, if you're listening to this as an FBI agent or a DHS agent, you gotta think about this and say, am I going to spread the word cautiously or loudly or violently? How am I going to handle this situation? Because this situation, even though I'm exposed to many strange situations in my career, this is a strange situation. This is something that involves attacking the capital of this country. How am I really going to react to this thing? Do I do it by the classic playbook that we have? Do I sound the alarm and then I turn out to be some kind of schmuck because I was yelling and screaming about something that really might not take place or really didn't take place? So I have to feel somewhat mystified by the fact that it really didn't happen that way, that the FBI and the DHS didn't take a chance that this could possibly be the truth, that there could possibly be a January 6th disaster. So the committee, the Democratic-led committee, said it seemed as if our intelligence agency dropped the ball. I'm not so sure that they dropped the ball. I think it took a lot of thinking to come up with the solutions that they did. And I think they're trained not to panic. So maybe they lost their way running through the regulations that they would have to do. The investigators, the sheer volume of intelligence that the FBI and the DHS had received indicated that there was a great potential for violence. That's what the committee chairman, Gary Peters, said. He said the warnings were too great to disregard. So they didn't thoroughly, the FBI and the DHS didn't thoroughly share those warnings. They didn't take it that seriously, apparently. And maybe they had other things on their mind because, this was a big day. This was the day when they were going to declare Biden the president. But the FBI did admit that they had information that they got 3 days in advance about a plan to stage armed and something else, quick reaction forces in Roslyn, Virginia. Now, 2 years later, the members of the far-right group Oath Keepers faced federal charges for that event in Roslyn, Virginia. And then the investigators, the congressional investigators, also accused the FBI of downplaying the threat that was compiled on January 3rd, 2021. A tip about the Proud Boys that say that these men were coming for violence. And obviously they were coming for violence. But I think in the minds of most of these people it was inconceivable that they could charge the Capitol and break in. It would seem to them that this is not possible. This is the United States of America. We don't do things like this in this country. So maybe that was it. A lack of experience. I mean, the major event that took place with their attack on the country when they flew the planes into the buildings on September 11th. But those were foreigners. Those were people outside the country. This event was going to be held by our own citizens attacking the results of a legal election. Something incomprehensible, even if you're an FBI agent and trained to recognize the unexpected. This is too far off the page, maybe, for the FBI and the DHS to recognize the fact that this could happen in the United States of America. And maybe they couldn't believe that our president could sanction these events. At that point, about to become the ex-president. Maybe that factored into this thing. Maybe they felt that he would call an end to it or something. I don't know why the FBI and the DHS acted inefficiently. I will call it inefficient. I don't think they would really believe that this was going to happen across the entirety of that division of those two organizations. And I guess there weren't enough people there who were saying it could happen, and that's why no action was properly taken. Such a mystery to me why the DHS and the FBI didn't perform better in that particular event. But there were so many things going on at that time that it was probably confusion in the ranks, and nobody wanted to step up and take responsibility for sounding this, what at that point seemed to be a crazy alarm. So I'm confused about the whole thing, and I really don't have a good answer for anything. And yes, I'll have to agree with the Senate committee that the FBI and the DHS didn't perform very well that day. You know, if you look at this situation, this is a horse out of the barn. Everybody knows what they should have done once the horse has gotten out of the barn. But this was a very confusing situation. And I'll let it go at that, but I don't know that anybody could really point their finger at the absolute perfect reason. So a confusing, unfortunate incident. A blight on two good organizations, the FBI and the DHS. Have a great day. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.